Hello, everybody. Father Scott Vanderveer here with another installment in our series on the 4 pillars of Catholic social teaching. Today, we're looking at the twin of the first one, the second pillar, the dignity of every human person. I say the twin of the first one because if you watched the last episode in our series, you know that the first pillar is the common good. The idea that we should be making sacrifices to our own desires in order to serve the needs of everybody. All of us should be allowed to thrive. And one way that we can do that is to make sure that we all do better together, that we don't isolate some people as winners and others as losers, but raise the water that floats everyone's boat, so to speak. Well, today we're talking about its twin. The fact that each individual is sacred, that each individual is made in God's image and likeness. And because of that, we cannot allow ourselves to think that any person, even if they're not productive, even if they're not a useful member of society, so to speak, even if they have terrible dementia, even if they are terribly mentally ill, or they are locked in a prison for a crime that they committed and are serving a life sentence, even then, they are sacred. They are sacred from the time they are conceived in the womb until the time that they naturally fall into the tomb. Human life is sacred in each of its stages, and each person is sacred no matter their history, no matter the mistakes that they've made. So a person's status, their record, their blotter, whatever it is that they've done, no matter how many demerits they've received, they can never go into the category of worthless or undignified. Nothing can stop us from being God's child. Nothing. That idea that we're made in God's image and each of us is sacred no matter what, from the time we're born to the time we die, is a challenge to what a lot of society's ideas have. Many people are unaware that children with disabilities that are detected during screening in their mother's womb can have beautiful lives. If you've ever known someone who was born with Down syndrome, you know the beauty and the joy of that individual. There's so many stories of people, like some in our own community here at St. Mary's, that are just the light of the lives of the people around them. In our society, many of those people never have a chance to be born because once a screening, a prenatal ultrasound or imaging appointment shows that there might be irregularity in the child, many couples choose to terminate the pregnancy. Many people consider those who are unable to be productive in society, who maybe have some sort of different ability and can't work in the economy that the rest of us work in, they think of them as deadbeats. But you know, even names like deadbeat, what does that mean? Dead heartbeat? No heartbeat? A deadbeat? I'm not sure what the etymology of that term is, but you know it's not good. And you also know that nothing could be less true than one of God's children is worthless. One of God's children, for any circumstance, isn't important or mean anything. You know, one of the things that I'm trying to do in my own life is to not name call. And part of that is because calling someone a blankety blank is not only aggressive, it not only puts gasoline on the flames of our inner fire, but it's also injurious to our own dignity. I have a friend who said, for example, that she used to say bleepity bleep when she was driving, and she changed it to jerk. It's a lot calmer. You jerk, she would say. It's a lot better than you blankety blank. However, she's gone a step further. She told me she doesn't feel comfortable calling someone a jerk anymore. She's thinking of the scripture where Jesus says, you are called to forgive 70 times, 7 times. And then he says, anyone who calls their brother a fool is liable to judgment. Don't call your brother a fool. Don't use words like that. It's an interesting concept because, let's face it, it's easy to do. It's easy in a moment of anger to say, what a blankety blank, or if we're under more control, what a jerk. She no longer says that. She now says, ugh, quit acting like a jerk. I'd like to pause there. Isn't that interesting? What do you think about that? Quit acting like a jerk, in the manner of a jerk. It takes the identity off of the person's label and puts it onto their behavior. We're not going to put the focus on you are a jerk, because sometimes we are and sometimes we're not. No one's a jerk all the time. So calling someone a jerk is not even accurate. Saying you're acting like a jerk, well, there you go. All of us are guilty of that sometimes. It's a step downward. It's a downshifting. It's a de-escalating of something that could be something that lowers our dignity a little bit, that is injurious to our virtue. I think that's a really interesting concept, and I'm grateful that my friend told me that. Not long ago in Glens Falls, there was a terrible act of violence against a family. It involved a child being kidnapped from a local state park in Moreau, New York. It was a nightmare scenario for parents. There was a huge search that was undertaken, and in a scene out of a 1980s action movie, they found this girl alive and well and safe in a storage area in a mobile home not terribly far from where the abduction happened. The girl was released and returned to her parents. The person who abducted her was taken to jail and has been convicted. There's a local organization called Kelly's Angels that works in honor of this wonderful woman named Kelly, who was a great light in the community and a beloved part of her family. And they pool their resources as part of the common good to provide opportunities for families that have been through trauma. And this family that had their daughter abducted had been through a trauma. So Kelly's Angels donated to them an all-expense-paid day at the Great Escape, a local Six Flags theme park. The mother of that girl thanked the Kelly's Angels officials profusely and then declined the gift. She said to them, I so appreciate this, but we've got our little girl back and we are so happy. But I'm thinking about the daughter of the man who abducted my little girl. It turns out that he had a daughter, not that different in age. She said she did nothing wrong. It was not her choice to be the daughter of a man who would do something terrible like that. And I'm so worried about her life. My daughter's been returned to me, but her life has been changed forever by her father's wicked actions. She said to Kelly's Angels, I'd like you to donate this to her. I'd like her to be the recipient of this generosity. Please give that little girl our ticket to the Great Escape. She recognizes the dignity of each human person. She thought about another daughter than her own. She could have spent the rest of her life thinking about her own daughter, but she didn't do that. She thought of the daughter of the person who abducted her. That's an incredible story, but you don't have to go that far. There's lots of ways that you can challenge yourself to recognize the dignity in every human person. One woman in our parish who's since gone home to God used to read the obituaries every week, and she would pick a funeral of someone with few or no survivors, and she would put on a black dress and go over to their wake or funeral. She said, everybody deserves to have their life celebrated, and I don't want anybody dying without people celebrating who they are and what they meant to this community and to the world. She didn't know who the people were. She didn't know anything about them, but she read in their obituary that they had few or no survivors, so she was there. It's beautiful. These are the things we can do. It's what happens every time someone joins a jail ministry program. It's what happens every time people work with at-risk youth, or give a donation to the White House, or give money to Homeboy Industries, where they work in rehabilitating gang members. Whenever we work with people who don't fit into the traditional winning profile, we're doing something to acknowledge that each individual is sacred. Can you see how this is twinned with the common good? The common good focuses on raising the water level that allows everyone's boat to float. And the individual focus of the second pillar allows us to know that each person is important, even if the common good is held in a healthy tension with their needs. So much for us to think about. Catholic social teaching is brilliant, and I think you can hear how much it has to offer us. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Hope you'll join us for the next session as well. Thanks for being here. God bless you all.